welcome to this special episode of Business Acumen. We have Emerson Yerian with ETC Tech Solutions with us today. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about cybersecurity, the dark web, and how we can protect our businesses and protect ourselves in this environment. Now, Emerson, you've been at the forefront of the technology in dark web monitoring and personal protection and company protection for a long time now. Just to start off, what got you interested in the dark web, and really, what is the dark web, and why should we care about what this dark web thing is?
Yeah, great question. So we've been in this industry for almost 25 years now, and when you look at how the industry has progressed, we used to talk about security, and you need to make sure you have good, strong passwords in your computers and those types of things, but we never looked at it as cybersecurity. And so we really started to, over the last 2 or 3 years, even though we've been preaching security for years, it has now become all about cybersecurity and looking at it from the outside world coming into our business, not necessarily the rogue employee or theft and things of that nature. So it's always been something that's been fascinating to us on how we can protect our clients and help them grow and do things within their business and utilize technology to really empower their own success. But now that we have all these new threats out there that are then taking and putting that at jeopardy for them, where if they don't have a good backup or they open up a wrong email, now all of a sudden they're looking at getting hit with ransomware, and maybe those files they didn't put on the server that are part of the backup, now that's all of a sudden at risk. And most small companies don't understand the effects of how this change can impact their business, and they only think that it really affects the large corporations. So it's exciting for us to be able to go in there and really help our clients and keep what they've built protected.
Yeah, now you mentioned the email. This happened to me literally just a few days ago. I got completely duped. Normally, I'm very good about, is the URL matching the URL I would expect? Does it say apple.com in the URL? Are there pixelated images? Does it look like there's like a picture of what it should be instead of the actual text? I mean, there's all of these different things, and no kidding, one of the radio services that we use, it had that radio service in the email. It said, you're going to start getting charged. It had all of the official words, all the official icons and everything. Even the link had the URL in it. And I clicked on it. When I landed on the page, it was the exact same page. It looked exactly the same as a normal page I would log into. And as soon as I logged in, it started asking for social security number and date of birth. And I was like, okay, they just got me. So now I immediately, went and changed my password, but they just caught my password. They just caught it. And that's crazy. But outside of emails, this dark web thing, can you tell me more about what the dark web is?
Sure. So the dark web was actually created by the government. They created a way to be able to transfer information from their agents securely from one place to another. So in order for them to have security, they basically decided to pass this out and give it to everybody for free access. So that way they kind of had security by ambiguity. And so when you look at the dark web, it is, if you've ever watched TV and you've seen, where's that guy at? And then it starts bouncing all over the globe, and it's just kind of that dots just going all over the world. The dark web is essentially a place where you can't track the IP address, you can't see where that person's actually located, you don't know much about them, they're all anonymous. And so there's a tremendous amount of information on the dark web that's illegal in nature. I mean, you can buy and sell guns and drugs and body parts. There's just some really disgusting, disturbing things that you can do on the dark web. But there's also some things that you can do that are necessary. And so if you lived in a world where you couldn't have, you didn't have free speech, then maybe if you're in China or somewhere else in the world where it's just very suppressed, you need to be able to get information out and get news out. So there's good elements of why you need something like that. But most of what you find on the dark web is all geared towards something illegal and very criminal in nature.
What does a company do to help protect themselves, and what happens if they are exposed?
Sure. So Cybersecurity is really more of a mindset. It's something that you have to live and breathe. It can't just be a new antivirus or a cybersecurity awareness training for your staff. It really is a mindset on how you have to live your life and protect your business. You've got systems in place to make sure that you click on a bad link that sends you to China or Russia, it stops it if it's malware. And there's a lot of great layers of security in place already. But you being unaware of, should I input my social security number? Is this okay to give out? Some people just do it blindly and not even think about it. And so it's just that piece where you have to put this in your mindset and say, I have to think about what would a bad guy want? How can I protect the data that we have?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, ETC is at the forefront of the technology in terms of protecting against cybersecurity and also monitoring for dark web activity. Can you tell me a little bit about what ETC is doing to help protect companies and help us if should the worst happen?
Sure. So like I said, I mean, we look at security on layers and specifically when it comes to once there's already been an action, something's already, so your information's been out there and it's been compromised, it's a little harder to do things. But one of the services we have is a tool that allows us to go out there and search for your domain. And so we can take @domain.com and look for any kind of activities. So if you were to, let's say, have a LinkedIn data breach and be notified, if your employees have their email account attached to LinkedIn using a business account, and it was breached, and now they're using that same password somewhere else, that information is something that we can then turn back to the company and say, listen, so-and-so has a problem, their information's been compromised. And more often than not, that password is something that they're using in 5 different places. And if they're not using that specific password in 5 places, they're using a variation of it. And it's really important to make sure that you have very complex passwords, but there's nothing we can do to help you at that point, unfortunately. It's once your information's been out there, you can't call the bad guys and say, sorry, can you pull it down? I really don't like you having that information. And so it's kind of it's a tough spot to be in, because how many websites have you signed up for in your life? You've created thousands of accounts in all these different places. And now with the new regulations that were put into effect just recently, there's now a lot of websites that you have the ability to then remove your access and delete your accounts. And so that's new. We haven't been able to do that before in the past. So a lot of sites that you no longer use, we encourage our clients, just people in general, to say, just delete the account if they no longer use it. I don't know if you have a MySpace account or not, but if you ever created one, it's probably still out there. And so it's important to try to go in there and get rid of that. So that's one way we can go in there and help. And then the other piece is cybersecurity training, making sure that your staff knows what to do. And if you have everybody from the CEO all the way down to the janitors is aware of how to handle that information, it's important, because the janitor has access to every single door in the building. And if he's not, if he has access to a computer, has to put his time into the system, he needs to be aware of everything going on, just as important as the person who's maybe in charge of sending out transactions and approving wire transfers. So it's really important that from the top down, everybody's aware of what to do and how to secure the data.
Yeah, that's really important, right? That everybody is involved. So I might catch that I made a mistake and I might fix it, but I know we've seen emails that pop up that say that they say they're from me to one of my team members to say, hey, I have an important meeting, call me. And it puts my phone number in there, but if you click it, it goes to somewhere completely different. And so tell me a little bit about these trainings. So you have these cybersecurity trainings for teams. What kind of concepts do you cover, and what does a company really get out of those?
Sure. So the most important part of that is that the person's going to go through training at their own pace. And so what's going to happen is they're going to get a link, they're going to go through, they're going to watch a series of videos and do exactly that, and get sample scenarios on, this email has a URL, does this look correct, does this, what about this might be wrong? And they're then showing the person signs. Now you and I know what to look for, but again, most of the people who get that, they don't know every trick that these guys have. So really it's a lot about that, making sure they're aware of it. Then on top of that, they're going to get regular updates, regular email notifications to just talk about the new threats that are going out there. If something were to come out today and just a new scam going out, it's important to make sure we get that in front of those people right away. And so that way your entire team then is aware of that information. But most importantly, what we're doing is ongoing threat training, and we're doing simulated phishing attacks, where we take an email that looks legitimate in a lot of ways, but we're putting a fake link in there or making something about that to see if they're going to click on that email. And if they click on it, they're going to get instant notifications saying, hey, you need to get some more training. And we're going to make sure that they get some information right there in front of them. And then you as a business owner can look at your team and say, all right, good, my team's really got this under control. This is great. You keep up that training, but maybe you have one person who's struggling. They're looking at, they're clicking on a lot of these links that you really, you're wondering then now, are they clicking on a real phishing email? We can now take that person aside and do some one-on-one training with them. And, whether you're involved in that piece or us directly, is all based on each business. But the idea behind it is every person has to be educated, whether it's they get enough of it from the simulation and the ongoing training that they get, or that hand-holding approach, which is really what sets us apart from our competitors, is that we really want to make sure that our clients know that we're here for them and we help them and take that extra step.
Gotcha. So it obviously starts with an understanding of how to be safe in an online environment. And then you have the monitoring tools that let companies know whether anything's been compromised. That sounds like a fantastic training. So, I know I'm curious, and I'm sure that the people that are watching are curious. How does somebody get access to that training? Is it available on your website, or how do they sign up?
Sure. It is etctech.net/JMCBA. So they can go there, get some information, and absolutely the sign-up information is right there on the website.
I attended one of your seminars as well, which I learned a lot of information from. Do you have another seminar coming up anytime soon that we can maybe take part in?
Absolutely. December 6th.
December 6th.
Yeah.
Excellent. Is that on your website as well, that we can find out more information on that?
etctech.net/December 6th.
Thanks for watching this episode of Business Acumen. Emerson, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. You gave some hugely valuable information. I took a ton of notes in my head. I need to go write them down right now. If you want more information, check out the links on the screen and get a hold of Emerson, and he'll be happy to answer all your questions on dark web and cybersecurity. Take care. To learn more, follow us online at sumitup.biz. If you found value in this podcast, please leave us a review. See you next time.